Hey, what's up? Ian here, and this is my review for the Dunu Kima Classic. It's a single dynamic driver IEM. The retail price for this is $109 and it's available on HiFiGo's website. And if you guys are interested, do check out the unaffiliated link in the description below. And if you guys have already guessed, this video is sponsored by HiFiGo, and they would like to thank you guys for watching this video by giving away to one of you lucky guys or girl a Ledger Gis Audio Galileo, right? So yeah, one lucky winner will win this, and all you need to do is check out the link in the description below, follow the instructions, and you will get a chance to win this Galileo. I will choose a winner in 1 week's time from the time of this video. Okay, so good luck to you guys. So yeah, in this video I'm going to talk about this Dunu Kima Classic. It's actually an improved version of the original Kima, so I'm just going to talk about the main key differences. So if you guys haven't watched my review for this Dunu Kima, I do suggest to click on the link up above here and watch this video first, or that video first, and then come back and watch this video, because I will be doing a lot of referencing to this Dunu Kima, the original. Okay, so let's not waste any time. Let's just jump straight into the review. Firstly, the accessories are the same, right, including the case. The box is a bit different, but you know, it's almost the same, right? The specs, let me just go through the specs for this Dunu Kima Classic. The frequency range is 5 to 40,000 Hertz, impedance is 32 ohms, and the sensitivity is 108. Okay, right, so that's the specs for this. Is actually the same as the original. Now for the build quality and the design and the fit and comfort is exactly the same, so I'm not gonna go in depth for this, but in terms of the design, there is a change in color. So this is more of a coffee color, and then this one is more of a silver color, and even down to the very detail of the cable, the color of the cable. I think they will need to, you know, recolor the outer casing of this cable to, you know, change the color. Originally it was white, so they recolored it and make it match to this coffee color, so which is a pretty nice combination, I would say. Yeah, color matching. Okay, so that's for the exterior, and overall it's the same as the original. Okay, now let's talk about the sound, right? Main thing is the sound, actually. So first, let's talk about technicalities. In terms of technicalities, these two are identical, almost the same. It's just that when it comes to detail retrieval, I would say, you know, this one has a bit less detail, okay, as compared to the original. Why? Is because of the tuning. All right, so the tuning of these two has been changed. All right, and the Classic will have a bit more emphasis on the bass and the treble. Thus, the mids will be a little bit more recessed as compared to the original. But there's an advantage of doing that, of course, and I will speak about that later in the tuning. Of course, the disadvantage will be that the mids will be recessed. Okay, all right. So let's first talk about the tone and timbre. So the tone and timbre, in terms of the Classic, it has got a warmer tone and a heavier note weight as compared to the original. Well, in terms of heavier, it's not very much heavier. It's just that little bit heavier. It still has got that pretty balanced and natural tone. It's not to a point. I mean, this is actually a pretty fun sounding IEM, and it's quite musical, in fact very musical, and it's got more melody, melodic traits as compared to the original. So overall, I would say this is more of a casual and fun listening, whereas for the original, it's still casual and fun, but not as fun as the Classic. Okay, so that's for the tone and timbre. Now for the sound signature, let me just bring out my graph and show you guys. Put this things one side first. Okay, so I hope you guys can see, but this is the graph of both the original okay, and the classic. Now the blue line is the classic, okay, and the red line is the original. So if you look at the difference, all right, the classic has got much more sub bass and mid bass, all right, and is in terms of volume, this two, one would sound a bit more neutral and the other would sound a bit more natural and a bit more warm. This one would sound a little bit more light, okay, lean. I would say lean. It's not thin, okay, it still has got body. The notes still have some weight to it. It's just a bit more lean as compared to the classic, okay. So bass wise, this has got substantially more rumble, with the same extension. The extension is better actually, you know, if I recall. It's a better extension if you ask me. Yeah, it's a better rumble and it's got a warmer rumble as well. It's quite it's very matured rumble. It's a very matured rumble, okay. And for the mid bass, it's got a bit more thump, a bit more punch as well as compared to the original. Both have same amount of speed in terms of it's not very fast mid bass, but it's still pretty good. You know, it's not as muddy as some other IMs that I have. It does bleed into the mids a little bit, but not as much as the original, okay. And as for the lower mids, as in the mids, I think this is where, you know, these two are different. So in terms of lower mids, the original would sound more pronounced and more present and clearer as well. It's got more details, as I mentioned earlier, being retrieved. But for the classic, it will sound more warm and engaging. It's got the pianos has got low, especially those lower octaves ones. Pianos, violins, they sound more firm on the lower end, and you can feel the presence of the instruments more than the original, okay. And the vocals as well, female vocals would sound nicer and cleaner and warmer and more energetic and brighter on the classic, okay. So female vocals actually is a big improvement from the original, I would say, when I listen to these two. So female vocals, they really shine on this IM. For male vocals, they sound pretty much similar as well. Yeah, I do prefer, you know, overall in terms of the more of the musicality on the classic, than the original in terms of male vocals. Okay, so now let's talk about the treble. So treble is also a very big difference. It's got better gain, brighter treble as well, more present, more sparkle and more bite, and the energy of the overall energy of the treble sounds faster, more engaging as compared to the original. The original sounds a little bit laid back, which affects the female vocals. Female vocal sounds a little bit lackluster as compared to the classic, okay. And overall, the treble region for the classic would have a more airy feel in terms of the soundstage and the overall roll off of the treble. So treble wise is a very big improvement on the classic as compared to the original. Alright, so that's the entire frequency for the classic, the Dunu Kima Classic. So to sum it up, I would say this is, it depends on which genre you listen to, okay, but overall the treble has been improved, okay. It's brighter, it's more energetic, it's more engaging as compared to the original. And then the bass as well, it's got substantially more bass. I think it's about 7 dB of more sub bass as compared to the original. So in terms of presence of the sub bass, because this is elevated, it's got more emphasis on the sub bass, as compared to the original. So when you're listening to your tracks, this would have more body and more bass shelf as compared to the original. It's a good and bad thing, of course. I mean, if you like to have less bass when you're listening to classical or orchestras, then this one would sound a bit boomy as compared to the original. But then, you know, if you're listening to trance, techno, R&B, pop songs, heavy metal, then the classic will sound much more engaging than the original, and original one would sound a bit lackluster in terms of the bass. Okay, if you look at the bass, it's actually below the Harman target by quite a lot. It's about maybe 3 to 4 dB, and yeah, it's quite a, it's not a very firm rumble. And you know, when I listen to my trance or my techno, this will not give me that emotional connection to my tracks, but this one will. You know, I will get a lot of sub bass and rumble. At the same time, I will get a lot of treble as well, because you know, trance will have a lot of shakers and hi-hats, so this will give me that engagement as well. Okay, right, so that's the overall tuning and the difference and the improvements of this Dunu Kima Classic. So I would say the Classic has got a better tuning, all right, a more improved tuning as compared to the original. It depends again on what genre you listen to, and for me, this would be better for pop songs, R&B, trance and all that. But if you still listen to your classic and orchestras, not female vocals, orchestras, you know, stage, live stage or live performance, vocals kind of thing, then the original will still be more relevant than the classic. And in fact, this would be cheaper by $10 as compared to the classic. You know, they want to push this one. Of course, they will have this price and then lower the price of the original, so that, you know, people want to buy the classic. Okay, but if you ask me, both, they are good in their own ways. Okay, they are good in their own ways, so it depends on what type of music listener you are. Okay, right, so let's compare it with some other IEMs, and I've got a few here. Sorry if I don't have the cable with me, but yeah, let's compare it firstly with the Meteor. Okay, so the Meteor, it's actually a very full and matured, rounded sound, good bass as well. But when I listen to both of them, A/B them, the Kima Classic has got more firmness in the bass, and in terms of maturity, the warmness, maybe the Meteor has got a bit more of the maturity. Okay, and also you know, the Classic would have more extension of the rumble. Okay, in terms of mids, I think the Classic it sounds much more forward. Instruments and vocals alike, they sound better on the Classic as compared to the Meteor. Meteor sounds a bit recessed and veiled by the bass. Okay, and treble sounds great on the Classic as compared to the Meteor. Treble sounds very bright. For the Meteor, they sound bright as well, but it's a little bit sibilant and shouty on the Meteor. Okay, so that's with the Meteor, and then CRA Plus. Okay, CCA CRA Plus. I mean, this is not going to be a fair comparison because this is so much cheaper, and this one doesn't come with a lot of accessories at all. It comes with a cheap cable and cheap ear tips. As compared to the Dunu Kima Classic, it comes with a full range of accessories. Now, in terms of sound, they both sound quite similar. It's just that the CRA Plus has got a less warm tone and a less matured tone as compared to the Classic. Classic has got a more firm and matured and more adulthood type of sound. All right, they're both quite musical. Okay, it's just that maybe the classic sounds a bit more firm, yeah. And in terms of the bass, the classic has got a bit more firmness and extension and clarity and less distortion to the bass, okay, for the classic. Treble, the CRA Plus has a bit of sibilance as compared to the classic. The classic, not so much. All right, it depends on the track as well, but on the classic, I don't hear much sibilance, and I think both of them, the treble, okay, do sound bright and energetic, and yeah, very good gain on both of them as well. Okay, so that's for the CRA Plus. Now with the ME1, right? So this is actually also not fair comparison, because this one is 1DD plus 1BA, so it's got 1BA in here, and this is $200 US. So in terms of both the sound, it sounds okay. Both of this sound matured, okay, very mature sounding. The thing is, the Muse ME1 does have a bit more clarity to the treble, but in terms of bass, the classic has got a more matured bass and a firmer bass, less muddy and boomy as the ME1. So it depends, okay, it depends on what track. For both of them, actually, they play pretty well for most tracks, you know, especially pop songs, but yeah, both of them, they are pretty good performer, but I would prefer the treble on the ME1, and I would prefer the bass on the classic. Okay, right, so that's the comparisons with some other IEMs, and that essentially concludes my overall review of this Dunu Kima Classic. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and learned something from this video, and if you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and also please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Alright, so that's it for now. I hope you guys have a great day ahead, and I'll see you again in my next video. Cheers.